Good day, everyone. My name is Ashleigh Ewald, and I'm the creator and this host of the podcast 100% Real with Ashleigh Ewald. For this week, we have a wonderful guest named Harlan Cohen, and he is a New York Times bestseller author. He also gives a lot of college guidance for students. Please welcome Harlan.
Hey, Ashley, good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Of course, and thank you for being here. And I think that just with the fact that this podcast main audience is indeed students, high schoolers and college students alike, you really are the perfect guest to have on. I would like to start off with first by diving deeply into what got you into the educational field and how you became where you are now.
Yeah, well, I think that life is uncomfortable and high school is really uncomfortable and college can be really uncomfortable. And nobody tells us that it's normal to feel uncomfortable. Like there's so many new things happening. And in particular, I love college because it's like new friends, new relationships, new independence, new classes, new location, new responsibilities. You really have to manage yourself and work through so many different challenges on your own, but it can be really hard if you haven't practiced or don't understand what's normal and natural. So for me, I went to college and it sucked. Like it was really hard. I didn't make friends right away. My girlfriend dumped me. That was sad because I never knew how I got one. So I was really upset about that. And then I couldn't really make friends. I didn't know how to do that. And eventually I figured it out. And uh, late in the first year of college, I still ended up transferring and I went to Indiana University for the rest of my college career. So I started at UW-Madison, then went to Indiana University. And what I discovered is, to really find your way, it's all about people, places, and patience. It's who are your people, where are your places, and how long will it take to get where you want to go. And those three areas are really key. It's not that hard, but it can be difficult as you pursue your interests and make this adjustment. So that's where I come in. I really help people to get comfortable with the uncomfortable and just know what's coming because, it's going to suck at times, Ashley, right? And it's going to be scary. When's the last time you were really scared about something in college?
Well, the last time I was scared about something is when I was going through a very difficult situation, whether it was trying to have the pressure of being a part of an organization and they were expecting a lot of me, but also just the unknown,
Yeah.
like the uncertainty. I think that's what's scary the most.
Yeah, it's super scary. And being in a new place surrounded by new people, not having the things we're used to can be really hard. And I think especially for this group of students who are COVID students who really got hit hard emotionally in high school, the idea of feeling uncomfortable in college brings up all those old feelings. So I think even more important than any year, this year of just helping students to realize like this stuff's normal and it's okay to feel what you're feeling.
I'm glad you said that. Thank you, loud and proud, because I feel like a lot of times in college, especially the summer before I went off to college, I remember reaching out to you talking about how I got into Boston University, my dream university. And I specifically chose not to go there because I didn't want to take on more than 100K student loans. I went to Oglethorpe, and Oglethorpe
Yeah.
was a great school, but they gave me great scholarships. And I had to make a smart financial decision. And so, and that being said, I also kind of want to dive deeply into what's going on right now, like student loans.
Yeah.
What is your take on how students can make good financial decisions when looking at colleges? And I
Well,
think this also,
yeah.
I think this is also intertwined with the fact that the college you go to does not determine your success. Like, don't pull out thousands of student loans just to go to a prestigious institution and then live with that much debt for the rest of your life versus
Yeah.
someone else who goes somewhere debt free.
Well, I mean, you're living it. So, I mean, like you're a great example of someone who got into their dream school and that dream school was going to leave you with a tremendous amount of debt. And I don't know what your career, what career do you hope to go into when you graduate?
Politics and motivational speaking.
Yeah. So, who knows exactly what that entry level salary will be, but as a general rule, students shouldn't take on more total debt than what they would earn their first year out of college. So if a student's going to get $40,000 for an entry level job, in total, they don't want to have more than $40,000 in debt. I mean, of course, you don't even want to have that much if you can avoid it. But students don't even think about that, because what happens is once you graduate and you have debt, then you have to repay that. And if you want to have a home, whether it's an apartment or you want to eventually buy a place and you want to have a car, then there's insurance. And then there's the taxes you have to pay, and there's just entertainment and cost of living, and you want to save some money. By the time you go through all that, and then you have to factor in repaying those loans over whatever period of time, that's where it gets real. That's where it gets real. And I think for you, it's so responsible to look at that and say, do I want to have however much that would be, $1,000 payment every month or $1,500 payment every month? And what is that going to get me? Because right now you're doing this, like you're living your dream, and you're able to do it at a place where you're not going to have to deal with that extra stress. So I think that you recognizing that, and other students recognizing that, is really important, because when you graduate, that's going to be the thing that you have to work through, and it's going to stick to you for a while. So the dream school, and just to add that your dream school is not where you go, because the school is not going to determine your life and your dream life. You are the one who's the keeper of your dream. And if you know your dream, you could align yourself at Oglethorpe with lots of people in lots of places doing the things you want to do. And if you choose to, you could always go to grad school somewhere else where you can even connect with more people who are living your dream, and it can be affordable.
Thank you so much. That's very well said, well said. Because I think that a lot of times, and it's just such a bummer that especially in general, just 18-year-olds having to make a decision like that. Like my parents didn't even, they did, for example, they were not heavily involved in my college decision. They wanted to let that be up to me. Yeah. And I'm grateful for that, because it taught me the responsibility at a very young age. And it's just for other people who are listening to this, I hope they look at you, and get advice and listen to you. You know what you're talking about. You've seen it, you've witnessed it. And just talking about that as well, when you have built the knowledge you have now to write the books that you have written, what keeps you driving forward with all the things you went through in college?
I mean, you and students like you, because every year there are millions of students who are figuring out, what should I do next? And how do I work through these big questions? And then there are so many first generation students. It's like every year there are more students who don't know the answers to the same questions that people have been asking year after year, which gets me even more excited. I don't know if you've seen, but I've been doing a ton on TikTok and social media. Yeah, so my TikTok is at help me Harlan, Harlan. And there's hundreds of thousands of followers there, but I love using that as a way to help students who don't know the answers to these questions, that are questions that come up every single year. I love giving them that information, because I've dealt with so many cycles. It's and when you see the same things again and again and again, and you, Ashley, you could advertise your college decision. I had a choice to either go $100,000 in debt, or to be, I don't even know if you have any debt or if they're offering you scholarships or what your situation is, to having no debt and to getting a degree. And this is the choice I made. And I want you all to know you have that option. There's options. Don't just go for that one that you think is the dream school, because there's a lot of different ways to live your dream. So it's so this conversation, I'm much older, you're going through it together. Combined, our knowledge really can give people some wonderful information to make well thought out, healthy decisions.
Exactly. And we're like a living testimony of that. And
Absolutely, yeah. And I think it's cool. I'm excited that you wrote to me. I'm excited that I wrote you back. I really try to answer people, because I care, and it's hard what you're going through, and not all your parent not all of your parents know. So if I can help in any way, I love serving.
wow, you're a really good role model too. And we can see that. I also wanted to dive deeply into when you write your books and stuff like that, it almost sounds like you speak from a personal experience. And that being said, in college, just in general, what was the biggest life lesson you learned, and why?
The biggest life lesson was that I could endure a lot of pain and be okay. because like it was just, I just felt so lonely at times, and I felt so lost at times, and I felt like other people were having better experiences at times, and that stuff was hard. And for me, I don't numb myself. Like I don't do drugs, I don't drink. I just like it just hits me. And I built this amazing tolerance to handle like emotional pain and discomfort. And it's really enabled me to continue to do what I do, and to be awesome at rejection, to just be great at pushing through. Because I think if you're great at rejection, and I wrote a whole book about that. My most recent book is called Win or Learn: The Naked Truth About Turning Every Rejection into Your Ultimate Success. Because I'm a firm believer, if you can endure the pain and discomfort of not getting what you want and push through that, you're unstoppable. Like you're a superhero. And I think so much of college is figuring out how to do that. And you know, you don't have to do it alone. It's finding people and places who can support you, having rituals and habits that can help you to find balance, experimenting and experiencing so that you can figure out how to manage this and take that with you through the rest of your life.
That's so good to know. That is so good to know. Now, one thing that I also get a lot of students in my school in general, and just youngsters, even people who I went to high school with, is a big issue I see in school is people pleasing. They
Yeah.
want to seek approval from others, and I always say this: like may not even talk to that person or that group the next year, you know.
Yeah.
So what would you say about, because I think that's the reason why a lot of people pull out loans and loans to go to these prestigious university. They want to be accepted. They want to like feel like, but it's also sometimes for really good opportunities. But how can you help guide students to really just find themselves and not feel like they need other people's approval? Where do you think that comes from?
I mean, it's a tough thing. I think it's something that people battle their whole lives. I mean, it's fun. It's fun to be liked. It's fun to be noticed. It's fun to be appreciated by other people, but it's a losing game, because the universal rejection truth, this law of nature, says not everyone and everything's going to always respond to me the way I always want. You could be the best, the brightest, the most attractive, the most desirable, the most talented, the most gifted, and not everyone's going to respond to you the way you want. You will never win everybody over. So once you can acknowledge that I'm not going to win everybody over, and in fact, I'll be lucky if I win half the people over, well, I'm never going to win. So why don't I just start winning myself over? Why don't I look in the mirror and do some things to train physically? So I look in the mirror and I'm like, yeah, I feel all right. And emotionally, so the things between my ears, I'm like, I feel okay. And that's really where it starts. So it's surrendering and giving people permission to think whatever they want to think, knowing you're never going to win everyone over. So start with you. And then what happens is, once you really love yourself, there's a wonderful book called Love Yourself Like Your Life Depends on It by Camille Ravikant. And I think that's who is. I haven't read it in a while. But he's great, but it's this simple idea of like looking in the mirror and being like, I love myself. I love myself. I love myself. And I don't know how many teenagers and 20 somethings can do that. But once you do that, then you start looking at the world around you and you're like, wait, you don't love me or like me? Like, you don't even know me. That's so ridiculous. I don't need to spend my time worrying about you, because I love myself and I love what I do. And I'm okay, even if you don't like me and give me what I want. And that's when the world just opens up and there are no limits.
That's very powerful. That really is. And I just wanted to talk more about like just the balance of self-talk and positivity, like
Yeah.
especially in college when you're going through all this stuff. I've had my moments too, but in general, I want listeners to be able to understand like the difference. How do you find a balance between like loving yourself versus turning that love for yourself into cockiness and arrogance? How do you find
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it focuses more on offering as opposed to receiving. And when you're really focused on offering and helping and giving and find joy in other people's successes, then you can love yourself and serve and offer. And it's not cockiness. It's really from a genuine place where you are radiating light. The purpose isn't to win someone over. The purpose isn't to get something from someone. The purpose is simply to offer without the requirements of someone responding one way or another, because you're doing it from a place of light. and wanting to help and offer and serve. And you can feel that, you can see it. You know when someone's doing something so they can get something versus when someone's doing something because they just want to create more light in the world. And I'd say even me, like I've been doing this for a while, and like, in the beginning I would do this because I loved helping people, but I also like people recognizing me. It's fun to be noticed. But honestly, like lately, and I'd say in the past 2 years, like I just don't give a shit. Like I really don't care about winning people over. Like it's not the purpose. My only purpose is to offer and help because I know how many people need it. And if they like it, great. And if I can make the message crisper, great. But like, I'm not trying to win anyone over anymore. And that's also why I think I've been able to reach more people, because that's not the goal. It's not about me. It's not about my ego. I'm not the most important person in the room. And I mean, like, even with this, like, you're the most important person in the room. People listening are the most important person in the room. I just happen to be someone who's heard a few things, who could offer some insight and guide people, but you are the most important person in this room.
And that's I love the humility you have. I wish more people, especially like you, who do have a lot of influence, especially over young minds. I wish that right now, especially with our culture, I wish we would emphasize what you just said, being able to provide that service. I think oftentimes too, not to go off track, but like we'll see a
Sure.
lot of like entertainment people, they think that them being in this movie is all about them. It's not. It's about you telling a
Right.
storytelling that the producers and writers want you to tell. And I
Right.
think we get so caught up in this fandom that it's like, oh my gosh, it's all about me. All these fans love me. No, your music is supposed to be helping the people who are listening to it so they can feel relative to it, you know? And I'm
Right.
glad you said that because I think you are one of the few that would actually confess the actual importance of what it means to serve the community, which is to actually help people from a genuine place, not in a place of, oh, I want money, I want fame, I want power, whatever, which there's nothing wrong with wanting to be financially successful. But I think that right now in day age, we have a cultural system that likes to glorify that. And that if you're not that, you're not extremely successful. That makes people not realize that fulfillment doesn't come from outside factors. It really comes from you fulfilling your own mission. And which is your case, you are serving the community and actually helping people be more comfortable with the uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And just that being said, what other remarks do you have?
I think just to build off what you're saying, I mean, the college experience is really about having experiences, and it's learning, and it's doing things not because you're trying to win someone over or get awards or be recognized. It's doing things that genuinely feel good, that feel right, that are in alignment with the things that give you joy. There's lots of ways to do that. I also think there's nothing wrong with, also, and you mentioned it, of wanting to be financially secure, wanting to make sure that you are doing your best. There's nothing wrong with making money and taking care of yourself so you can have security and provide experiences. But I think when that becomes the number one thing, what happens is once you achieve those things, you realize that wasn't the most important. There's a way to be, Gary Vaynerchuk. I don't know if you know Gary, but I like Gary V. But lately, Gary's been talking a lot about, like, you could be a really good person and do good things and be incredibly successful. Like it's a really amazing thing. So I like to go along with that of just radiating light. And I'll share one more piece about that is, for any student who's having a challenge, it's really important to surround yourself with other people who have figured out how to overcome these challenges, to surround yourself with that upperclassman who's super kind and super helpful, who's been there and done it, to find that coach, that professor, that advisor, that spiritual leader, that adult, that person who can say, you know what, I'm really excited for you because what you're going through is real. And once you get through this, you're going to learn so much and grow in so many ways because I have, and I've been there and done it, and I'm in your corner. So not doing this alone and surrounding yourself with people who really are light. I keep saying that, but people who are light, people who want to, who believe in you, who can help you to explore and experiment and to feel good about all those outcomes, even if they're not the ones that you want, so that you can continue to move forward. Because that's really what college is about. It's more than anything about life and going through this process again and again of, what do I want? What makes me uncomfortable? People, places, patience. And you just keep getting in the habit of doing this and telling your story, and good things will happen.
Thank you so much, Harlan. And this
Yeah.
is why I brought you on. It's just, I think a lot of people are going to benefit after they hear you and just hear what you have to say, but also just the impact. I
Yeah.
think power and vibes from people just come such a long way. Thank you so much for coming on. And I look forward to see and read many more of your books
Yeah.
and to keep up with your content. I think it's wonderful and it's needed. It's in
Cool.
dire need more of your content.
Well,
So thank you so much.
yeah. And thanks for what you're doing. I really appreciate it.
All right, everyone, that's a wrap. And don't forget to follow Harlan Cohen on all of his social media platforms. All you have to do is search him up and you'll see all of his platforms. Don't forget to follow Gen Z Speaks and my new YouTube channel, 100% Real with Ashleigh Ewald. Don't forget to also follow at Ashleigh Ewald Official on Instagram. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great day.